And we hope that happens this time as well. Now, we're joined by someone who's done his time on Capitol Hill and in Hollywood. He's a former West Wing producer and current political analyst, Larry Odonnell. And I asked him earlier for his perspective on the week's events. All right, Lawrence, thank you for joining us. Now, since the hijackings, have you contacted the White House? And if so, what are they saying?
They're not saying anything more than what has been publicly revealed. That's the way it works in a situation like this. There is no inside information that becomes available to the press much before it becomes available publicly.
What do you think about statements that we will retaliate against those that harbor terrorists as well as against the terrorists themselves?
When they see thousands and thousands of New Yorkers being killed in a second in a terrorist attack like that, the notion that perhaps there will be some civilians killed in what the United States does in a retaliatory way is going to be more acceptable worldwide.
So in your opinion, we are going to war?
There could be what any reasonable description would call war by the time this is over, but it will likely be something less. It will likely be something that is of short duration, that is in effect a series of strikes.
What does a declaration of war do? What powers does it afford the president?
It affords the president very clear authority, because we've had this argument nationally ever since Vietnam about exactly what is the presidential war-making authority without a declaration of war. A declaration of war could be a mistake tactically, because a declaration of war then requires, it seems, a kind of prosecution to a finality that might not be possible here. If you have a declaration of war, when do you declare that the war is over? Without a declaration of war and you have military action, you decide when it's over on your own terms.
How do you think the government and President Bush will prepare the American public emotionally for war? And can they?
I don't think the American public needs emotional preparation for what is to come next. They had that in the first hour of the first day of this, and watching those buildings come down. And with the 24-hour news channels continuing rerunning the tapes endlessly of the planes going into the buildings, of the buildings coming down, of the debris, the emotional preparation for war is there.
Who has President Bush's ear? Who is he relying on now?
Well, he's certainly relying on Dick Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell, and without doubt his father. There's no reason for him not to call the president, who had a very, very successful warlike response in Desert Storm, and who has been through this kind of crisis, who also was the head of the CIA. That's a former president that any current president should be calling now. But he does have a highly experienced foreign policy, defense policy team. It's a very, very strong team for reacting to this kind of event.
How would you grade them in a report card? What grade would you give Giuliani?
There is no mayor in America who was more prepared, if you can use that word, to go out there and deal with a situation like this than Rudy Giuliani. You see him out there, and you know he's been through a stress that is beyond description, and he continues to handle it flawlessly. He continues to give out as much information as he possibly can. Governor Pataki is in there doing everything you expect him to do, but Giuliani is a larger figure in New York politics, and he is a more commanding figure in front of the press in these kinds of situations.
Is there ever times where the government will say to the media, could you please not show body bags? Can you please handle this in this manner?
There have been those times in the past, but we are long past that period. It will be impossible for the media to reach any kind of agreement with any aspects of the government on terms of what they will reveal at any given time.
How responsibly has the media handled the story so far?
Oh, I think very responsibly, and there's been, for example, a tremendous amount of care in that first 24 hours. They've played it very, very carefully, and the 24-hour news channels, MSNBC, CNN, and the others have become, in a way, sort of the national forum for these kinds of events.
All right, Lawrence Odonnell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.